Now, Washington Mornings on the Mall. At AM 630. WMAL.
8:07, very rainy morning, and traffic out there is sort of nightmarish. But we hope you're tuned in and sitting back listening to Brian and Brian on WML, because, this is the place where Washington comes to talk. Everybody says so. That's what I hear all the time. Talking to Chris Moody from Yahoo News, out there covering politics. We got a big election going on in Illinois. That's where you are today. You're in Chicago. And let's talk about it, because I think Romney's expected to do well. Let's just assume for the moment that he prevails in Illinois, as the polls suggest he will, by a large margin. It doesn't really settle anything. We're still not there yet, are we?
No, we're not. A couple of weeks ago, the polls were a lot closer. It was looking like it was going to be a nail-biter, but just in the past, I'd say, week or so, he's pulled ahead with double digits. And a margin here, a big margin, is what's important, because we have to look at the delegate count. And if Romney can get a big margin on the election tonight, he can swoop in and pick up, close to the 50 delegates and get knock a dent out of this campaign, but it's still not going to be over.
So does that mean we are, without a doubt, still headed towards some kind of open or brokered convention?
Well, I don't know if we can say it's brokered quite yet, but it is going to be an extended process.
Right.
Rick Santorum was talking to reporters yesterday, and he said, "Don't worry, guys, you've got job security. I'm in it for the long haul." So he's going to stay in as long as mathematically possible. But remember, the Hillary versus Obama race in 2008 went until June, so this is nothing out of the ordinary.
So why has Romney pulled ahead in the polls? If it was close a couple of weeks ago, and now Romney has a sizable lead, is it solely because he's outspending Santorum in such a huge amount?
Yeah, he's really outspending him. I think the latest number was $3.7 million in spending if you count the super PAC, the pro-Romney super PAC. A lot of times when you get closer to a state primary, people really start paying attention when they might not have before. So we'll see. But, however, in the past contests, Rick Santorum has always come out and done better than we thought he would. So we shouldn't underestimate him.
So $3.7 million for Romney. How many dollars have how much has Rick Santorum spent in Illinois in the last couple of weeks?
I think it's just about $250,000, which is
wow.
I think it's a difference of 1 to 7 here, and it's about 1 to 30 in the Chicago area, around the suburbs, around the city, and that's where Romney really does well.
We're talking with Chris Moody from Yahoo News. We just had a discussion. We've taken some calls about the comment actually that Ken Cuccinelli, the Virginia Attorney General,
right,
made not too long ago about Mitt Romney, and if he were to be the nominee, in Cuccinelli's point of view, and Cuccinelli's leading the charge, or one of the guys leading the charge, saying that Obamacare is unconstitutional. But Cuccinelli's point was, hey, if Romney is the nominee, then that means Republicans are pretty much going to have to leave health care on the floor, on the cutting room floor, as an issue. They can't bring it up because they've got Romney care, and it's the same thing as Obamacare. I'm just curious as to whether or not you think that is true, number one, and number two, how Romney has handled that on the campaign trail. Has he gotten any better at explaining the differences between Romney care and Obamacare, and why his plan is okay, but at the federal level it's not?
Well, it's very interesting that Cuccinelli said that, because that is Rick Santorum's number one talking point at every stop, all over the country. He says that Romney is, the quote is, uniquely unqualified to discuss the main issue of the day. And so, I think they have a point. Anytime Romney brings up a government mandate to buy a product, or let's say health care, Romney's going to, or Obama is going to throw it right back at him. It doesn't mean, I don't think you could take it to the extreme extent and say completely unqualified, but it does give him some hurdles. Mm-hmm. I think one thing that a lot of conservatives are frustrated about Romney is that he hasn't made this huge mea culpa about that program. He still stands by it as a robust state program, and then he makes the case that it should not be implemented on the federal level. Right. But it's going to be a lot harder for Romney to fight the Obamacare war than any other candidate. That's certainly true.
Well, it's coming up on the anniversary of the health care law, but it was also the anniversary yesterday, because Drudge played this up on his website, of Rick Santorum endorsing Mitt Romney in 2008, saying that he was the true conservative to get behind in the primary last time around 4 years ago. Did Santorum have any answer to that fact?
Yes, I actually asked him about it yesterday, and he pointed to two things. In my mind, it's how politics work, and we understand this. But his line is that Mitt Romney betrayed him. That's the word he used.
Oh, really?
Well, hold on.
How did he betray him? What were the details of that?
Over his support of the Wall Street bailouts back in 2008 was the first one. And then number two was his constant defense of the Massachusetts health care law. And he said that when he endorsed him in 2008, even though he had passed that health care law, he still thought he was a strong conservative, but now that he's doubled down on it, again, this is his spin. I'm just the messenger here, but you can believe it or not. But.
I sort of agree with that. I mean, here was a guy who did you a favor when you really needed a favor. I mean, Santorum did him a favor because the rap on Romney was that he wasn't conservative enough. And here's a guy who said, "Look, I've looked into his heart. I think he's a guy that we can support and we can be comfortable with." And that was a huge favor. And how does Romney repay the favor? By jamming it down his throat.
He's going against him.
Well, I know, but I mean, that seems like it's a little unfair to use that against him.
If Rick Santorum is coming out all over the country and saying that Romney is not a conservative, and he's a liberal and he's uniquely unqualified to talk about the issue of the day. I mean, I could completely see why Romney would shove that down his throat this year, because he said the exact opposite 4 years ago.
Well, and also mainly because he says that Romneycare disqualifies him as a candidate, and if you said you endorsed him 4 years ago, if you said it was before he passed Romneycare, you can make the case, well, hey, he betrayed me. But the endorsement came after Romneycare was signed into law.
Right, that's right. This is the tough, sticky part of politics. And if in the case that Romney becomes the nominee, it's going to be very fun, because Newt Gingrich and Rick Santorum are going to come out and say, this is our guy, and I want you to support him. So we're all going to go right back to it.
I just sort of think that falls into the category for Santorum of no good deed goes unpunished. Right. He did him a favor, did him a solid, and he's having it rammed right back down his throat.
Hey, Chris, where are we going after Illinois? Where are you headed after Illinois? What's the next big state?
Next big state is Louisiana, where Rick Santorum is polling much better. That's why he spent much of the weekend there instead of in Illinois. Santorum spent just a couple stops here on Saturday, and then blitzed the state yesterday. But now he's spending his election night party in Pennsylvania, which is friendlier territory for him. And
we didn't even bring up Newt. Newt's pretty much given up on Illinois, but he's campaigning in Louisiana, right?
He is campaigning down south, which makes the race in Illinois very interesting, because it's a mano-a-mano race here. Ron Paul hasn't spent much time here, and I don't think he'll make much of a dent. So this is, Romney versus Santorum up here, and so we're getting a good look of what that looks like.
Interesting. Great talking to you, Chris. We appreciate it as always.